Horses are sacred beings in Indigenous culture. They've been a huge part of all the matriarchs in my family long before I was born. We see in history, horses have been able to get people in the direction that they need to go. So not only physically, but spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. Horses can be a beautiful spiritual guide. We also call them the tellers of truth because horses do not judge and they can only be honest.
These are the stories
My little girl, she's changing lives just by being herself.
of organizations and people making a difference.
When you first tell someone about adaptive wheelchair boxing, it doesn't sound real.
And empowering others
It saved my life. It saved my life.
across Canada
I scored my first goal in my first blind hockey game.
in our community.
Equine assisted learning and healing with horses can do so much for you and your mental health, and a lot of people don't know about it. Originally, I was given the name Zogi Panikweses from my grandfather, and I go by Zoe just because it's easier for people to say. I'm a mental health resource worker, and a lot of the communities within the First Nations struggle with mental health and substance use and misuse and suicide. That's why I think it's so great that Tressa brought Red Horse Connection here to give not only Indigenous families, but a lot of other families who might be struggling with mental health the opportunity to heal and connect with horses.
When we think of equine assisted learning, that's a very Western word. Yes, there's research on how horses have helped specifically Indigenous youth that are abusing solvents, for example, and how equine assisted learning can promote healing. It's group programming. So we see horses and herds are similar to people and communities or people and families as well. Horses can help people who are struggling with mental health, anxiety, depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, bipolar, any sort of disorder that someone might be struggling with. Horses have the ability to kind of empower people and also provide a holistic approach to healing and connecting, maybe in a different way than you would see in a psychiatrist's office, which both can be held together at the same time, and that's kind of that two-eyed seeing approach too, right? So more Western approaches, but then there's also that deep knowing that horses are healers. My name is Tressa Beaulieu. I am a proud Métis woman with citizenship with the Métis Nation of Ontario. I am the owner of Red Horse Connection and the main facilitator for our equine assisted learning programs. This morning, we started off our 2-day retreat with an opening prayer as well as smudge with Darcy Whitecrow, who is a knowledge keeper and a beautiful connection to horses, to traditional knowledge.
Okay, now what we just did is basically a cleaning. Now healing is an everyday thing. It just doesn't happen once a week. It happens every day.
And then we started off with a session, which was all about starting the journey. This one is going to be all about building a relationship. What do you think goes into building relationships?
Trust, honesty.
I think the really interesting part about this 2-day retreat was that none of the youth knew each other. So everyone was showing up, and it was very clear that everyone was pretty dang nervous. We had a couple youth, one being TJ, who even when her family dropped her off, the first thing they said was she's had a really rough morning already. She was hunched forward. She wasn't wanting to make any eye contact. You could just tell she was carrying a lot.
I've struggled with mental illness since I was in about grade 5. I struggle with depression, anxiety, and anorexia. I recently lost my grandpa and then my auntie, and then I just lost a friend to overdose. My depression's been kind of off of the rails. It's basically like going swimming in a huge lake by yourself and not being able to reach the surface, but never actually drowning.
It was clear that TJ had a lot that she wanted to share. And in that moment, I knew that I was going to be relying more on the teachers, the horse, to be able to bring that out in her. And I saw her just shift. She lifted her spine quite literally, was able to make eye contact, communicate, was grooming the horses, hanging out with the horses, and in some ways also making a couple friends. They went through a variety of obstacles, but that first session was really all about building relationships and learning about their team members as well as the horses that they were working with, aka their teachers. If we need our horse to stop, we say what? Whoa, yeah, good.
My name's Aaliyah Jonup, but I go by Leah. Horses know a lot more than you think, and they can pick up on your energy and match it. I do struggle with a bit of a chronic depression and anxiety and a little bit of like anger management problems.
Leah, her mom, I think, registered her and had her down as Aaliyah. And I called her that. I said, oh, hi, Aaliyah, how are you? It's Leah. She goes, I'm like, okay. She has a little bit of a harder exterior. And then what I noticed was that as she started to feel a little bit more comfortable with the group and with the horses and with myself, is where you really started to see just her comfort levels.
I connected with Opie when I was with my teammate for the first day. I was nervous at first, but then when I realized that Opie wasn't a danger to me, I opened up more and decided to let myself be for myself.
Our Community will return after the break. We now return to Our Community.
Our first session, what was it all about?
Getting to know the horse.
Building relationships, right? Getting to know the horse. Were we just getting to know the horse? No, who else were we getting to know?
Each other.
Each other, yes, right? That's a bit of kind of...
My name is Carson Davis. I am 15 years old and I am from Thunder Bay, Ontario. Yeah, I love to play video games, love the outdoors, love nature. I love animals. I have 2 dogs who are my best friends. I come from a reserve called Bingui, Niashi, and Anishinaabe, Sandpoint First Nation. It was my first ever time working with a horse, like leading or guiding the horse, so I never really knew like what to do. So me and my partner, we kind of just did like the basic and what Tressa told us to do.
Carson, the only boy in our group. I think when he arrived that morning, he was extremely nervous, extremely quiet, very shut down in a sense. Happy to be there and wanting to like help and, you know, engage with everybody. As he again got through the program a little bit more, I think he started to have a little bit more vulnerability in being able to share like actually how he was feeling instead of maybe just providing the answers that he thought that we wanted. What's important to you for when you're building a relationship?
We just get like our own time, like with each other, just like space kinda. Now that like I learned that horses are a big part of your mental health and how they can like feel your energy and like match your energy, I definitely think that horses are a big part in helping people out with their mental health.
After lunch, we jumped into another session of Equine Assisted Learning, and this one was all about communication and being able to learn how to communicate not only with themselves, but also their teacher, the horse, and the team members that they just had met. So we talked about building relationships. Now we're gonna move into communication. Is communication important when we're building relationships?
Yes.
Yeah, how so?
If you both communicate and like both put effort into it, you guys are just gonna make a stronger relationship day by day.
So the program that we did, they have 2 lead ropes attached to their horse. So essentially 2 lines of communication with their teacher, and the youth were able to really showcase a variety of communication skills. I could see from the start of our day to the end of it, how much those skills were already building and how comfortable not only the youth, but also the horses were getting with each other. Okay, so Henry's team, I'll show you guys how to hook up the lead ropes. You'll notice, are these ropes the same length? So who would like the short end of the stick here?
I will.
Here you go, here's your one. So just no loopy on the ground. You can fold your lead rope however you need to hold on to it with your one hand, okay? And then you guys can head on in.
Okay, what do you want to do?
I don't know, make him walk.
Okay. My name is Lormera. I'm 17 and I'm from Thunder Bay. So when I was around 13, I was pretty much depressed. I did try to kill myself when I was 13, but it didn't work. One of the reasons I came here was to find ways to cope with mental health, because I don't do that very well. I just kind of let it bottle up.
Lormera, when she interviewed for this 2-day retreat, she was very honest about feeling like she doesn't belong in the student room that is specifically for Indigenous students.
Because I never really knew what my culture was about until I really got into high school and I started taking classes for native language and everything. And it was hard because kids would always ask me what I was and I didn't really know.
After she kind of let down her guard and just was here to experience it, it was really nice to see how she was able to also connect with the other youth in the program and build some relationships with them.
Come on, Henry. Oh, no, stay in the lines.
There we go.
Good job, buddy.
When we had to work on trust with the horses, that really helped me. Just learn that you gotta trust other people to make things work, then how to communicate with others when I'm not doing so great with something or I need help.
Today, we started off our day by just settling in, regrounding ourselves in the space, and we started off today with a program called Healing with Horses, and that one was all about building trust and respect and learning about what goes into those two things. What comes first, right? The chicken or the egg of trust and respect. We're gonna be working on trust and respect with our horses, and a part of that is blindfolds. So we're gonna be working with horses, and in your teams, you're gonna be directing your team member through the obstacles, taking turns wearing the blindfold. So whoever's wearing the blindfold is holding the horse, and your team member is going to be doing what?
Communicating.
Yeah, right, because if you look, turn around, look at all the different things that are in the arena today. There's still the same station cards, still the same things that you can look to see what you're meant to be doing at that obstacle, but the person with the blindfold can't see that. If you have endured trauma and things like that, it can be really hard to trust or be able to do so without letting your guard down, right? We kind of build these walls up around ourselves sometimes, and those walls don't just come down again in one program or in one introduction session to working with horses. By the end of that session, we had the youth that were able to kind of communicate their needs as well and what they needed for trust and what they felt respect looked like for them. And I thought that was extremely powerful to see. That was a really cool session that we did and kind of saw the growth, individual growth as well as team growth with the participants.
Our community will return after the break. We now return to our community.
After lunch, Zoe facilitated an activity where the youth built their tobacco pouches or their medicine pouches.
I was in placement with Red Horse Connection for my time in the Onajigewin program at Confederation College And I kind of set this up myself just because it was really outside the box of what social work is and how animals can help connect with humans in a way that some people can't. Okay, yeah, so today we're gonna be making cute little tobacco pouches. So you guys can grab one of the bundles in there. There's lots. Just pick any one that speaks to you. I just really want to help with the opportunity for Indigenous communities and individuals to connect. Yeah, because I think it really helped me a lot. I also self-harmed when I was like 16, so I haven't done that since. And I'm just really, I guess, proud of how far I came because I had moments of suicide attempts, and this spiritual connection I gained with horses saved my life.
In that activity, Zoe really connected with the youth, and again, I'm kind of drawing it back to, again, her showcasing the different ways that she's able to fit in beautifully with Red Horse Connection programs, and it's connection, huge, big time. So she was in there working with the youth, everyone was laughing, enjoying themselves, being able to kind of build that pouch, to which then they were going to be putting in tobacco and able to draw a symbol on that pouch that symbolized their strength as well as their journey and starting the journey of what they want to put in for themselves. So the last session that we did after the craft is a medicine wheel goal setting activity. So looking at how can they contribute to the balance of themselves as an individual in regards to their health and well-being. It was really beautiful and very powerful to see how TJ connected with Leah specifically.
It feels good connecting with people my age and understanding how another individual can go through the same things and you wouldn't even know. Sharing those moments.
Those two just hit it off and were laughing, but then they were also able to share a sense of vulnerability with one another and knowing the journey that they were going along with each other and with the other four youth.
Teamwork, honesty, respect, trust, all those kinds of things just made me realize that that is what's most important in like a relationship or a friendship or just any kind of relationship with anybody.
So tying in emotional, physical, spiritual, and mental health and different ways that they can address kind of that self-care component when it comes to their well-being. So whether it be starting their mornings off with smudging, whether it be going for walks in nature, contacting a friend when they're feeling down. It was really cool to see how the youth were able to list off these different self-care coping strategies that they already have and know, but being able to communicate them, following that, making it into a symbol that represented their, again, that overall well-being and the balance of themselves. They then took that symbol and they put it on the tobacco pouch. We then had them pull loose tobacco, set that intention and that commitment to themselves and balance of themselves. And they put that into their pouch. And then we are going to be smudging and having an elder bless those pouches before giving it back to them, just to do that full circle of coming back to incorporating not only themselves, a community, but also the teachers and the experience that they had over the course of the last 2 days.
Tressa did a really good job of making us feel comfortable. There's not a lot of people that actually understand what you're going through, and horses understand way better than people do.
If this was something that I signed up for to do like every day, I feel like it'd be really beneficial to my mental health and I'd have a really good routine.
I think these past 2 days helped me change my point of view in life, setting up boundaries and making sure that new people have to earn my respect instead of me handing it out to them day one.
Now that I learned that horses are a big part of your mental health and how they can feel your energy and match your energy, I definitely think that horses are a big part in helping people out with their mental health.
Horses are here to be our teachers, and the desire to want to continue building Red Horse Connection is something that it's a no-brainer for me. And if I'm able to provide opportunities for people to experience that, I could do this quite honestly for the rest of my life, and something that I would love to be able to do every day, because I am already around horses every day, but being able to share that with other people is something very special and very powerful. And I think it's after weekends like this, 2-day retreats like this, and after any session that I'm working with people and horses, that just becomes more clear every single day.
If you or someone you know is thinking about suicide, call Talk Suicide Canada at 1-833-456-4566. Support is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Producer Libby Lee. Director-writer Chris McIver. Director of Photography Stefan Rexsiedler. Editor Braden Music. Sound mix Kieran Semple. Colorist Andrew Shire. Narrator Mark Phoenix. Integrated Described Video Consultant Ron Rickford. Supervising Producer Jennifer Johnson. Copyright 2023 Accessible Media Inc.
An AMI original production.